You're finally ready to take the plunge. You've seen everybody jump in, and now you're finally ready. You just don't know the best way to go about it. Today, I'm going to answer a reader question. This reader is an experienced investor. He has investment accounts held at different brokerages, and now he's ready to buy Bitcoin, but he doesn't know the best place to go. How does it actually work? Well, we're going to answer his question and a whole lot more in the latest Good Financial Sense podcast. This is episode 129. What is going on, GFC fam, Wealth Hacker Nation? It is time to make your life more. It is your host, Jeff Rose. And as always, I am grateful and I am excited and always excited when I can answer a reader or subscriber question. And this was a question that I could totally relate to because I'll call myself a experienced investor. I would hope so. I was a certified financial planner for 16 plus years, had my own wealth management firm. But when I reached that point, and this was 2017, where I was finally ready to jump in. I was finally ready to dive in and buy Bitcoin for the first time. I didn't know where to go. I had online brokerage accounts, and this is just so we're clear. When you're a financial advisor and you have your own wealth management firm, or if you are what we call a wirehouse advisor working for like a Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley, or maybe you're working for like an Edward Jones, to open up an online investment account was almost like it was almost like blasphemy. Like, how dare you? Like, you shouldn't have an online account. And I know I'm probably dating myself here, but like any sort of online brokerage was always perceived as being inferior compared to all the big Wall Street firms. And I finally just had to surrender, accept, or just kind of like, you know what? I've heard this before and I definitely drank the Kool-Aid, but I need to experience for myself. So I ended up, back in the day, with Scottrade was the very first brokerage account. Now they don't exist anymore. I think they got swallowed by TD Ameritrade, I believe. So I had a Scottrade account, still have a TD Ameritrade account, have an E-Trade account, Ally Invest, and more like in the newer investment apps as far as like, Betterment, M1 Finance, Robinhood are a few of the ones I've opened up, not including like Lending Club and Fundrise and some of these other alternative investments, broker or online investment apps that exist nowadays. So I became more experienced with opening up different online investment platforms that I would probably predict that many old school or traditional financial advisors would be accustomed to. So anyway, I just want to kind of give you some context here, right? So it wasn't like I hadn't opened up any sort of investment account other than the brokerage firm that I was affiliated with. So once again, fast forward to 2017, and I'm interested in buying Bitcoin. It had hit an all-time high back then of around, I think it was 20 or 30,000, dropped down. Then we had the Bitcoin winter for a few years. So I ended up buying some Bitcoin. And for me, I ended up going to Coinbase. That was I forget really, honestly, like why I chose Coinbase. It seemed like the safer option of all the ones that existed out there. And this is prior to them filing an IPO. And so maybe that was part of it. Maybe like I saw that they were going to do an IPO or working on an IPO. So it just felt more comfortable going that direction. But once again, like looking back then, there were so many choices. You had Coinbase, you had BlockFi, you had Gemini, you had Nexo, you had Binance, even Robinhood back then, was and still is potentially, a crypto option, and eToro. I mean, there were so many different ones to choose from. So I totally relate to this subscriber in their just uncertainty of, man, like, where do I even go? So let's go ahead and just read this question real quick so that you can hear and most likely relate to what Brian has to say. So Brian says I am completely new to crypto with no brokerage account other than traditional Fidelity and Merrill accounts. I have 50,000 in traditional savings accounts. What is the quickest, safest way to purchase stable coins and transfer to Celsius. So at least he's specific, right? He knows that he wants to get to Celsius, which is Celsius Network is a crypto exchange that I've recorded a few videos on, and we'll be recording a few more. Have slowly but surely become currently my favorite crypto exchange for a lot of reasons, which we'll talk about on a future podcast. So once again, Brian, he's got investment accounts with Fidelity and Merrill. So he is accustomed. So he's got I would consider the Wall Street, big firm there with Merrill. And then you got more of a still old school, but more of an online investment solution in Fidelity, which I assure you are two totally different worlds, but he's got experience in both. And also he has his traditional savings.
Hey, save your money, dude.
One of the uncertain things I didn't quite understand was okay, so I've got my investment accounts, which I would call my taxable accounts, nothing in a retirement account. So I have all those type of investments. And then I also have my Roth IRA. My wife and I both have Roth IRAs. We have our self-directed 401k. My wife had a rollover IRA. So we got some retirement money. How can we get this into crypto, into Bitcoin, into a crypto exchange? Because in the traditional investment world, if you want to transfer your funds from a Fidelity to a Merrill, or an Edward Jones to a Ally Invest, or to a Robinhood, there is a fairly simple process. It is called a ACAT transfer. That's ACAT. And this is a type of transfer that is basically this agreement between all of these brokerage firms that they will allow transfers from one institution to the next. But it has to be a like for like transfer. So what does that mean? That means that if you have a joint account at, say, Fidelity, and you want to do an ACAT transfer to Merrill, you have to transfer from a joint account to a joint account. So I can't transfer a joint account into a Roth IRA, from Merrill to Fidelity. I can't transfer a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA from Fidelity to Merrill. It has to be like for like. That's how the rules work, right? Which kind of makes sense when you think about it. I mean, you can't, let's just accept that for what it is. That's how the industry works. And many people have done something like this. You've probably done something like this as well. Let's say you worked for an employer, you had a 401k, you left that job. Most people will roll over that 401k into their own IRA. That's another form. That's not technically an ACAT transfer, but that's one way of transferring funds from one place to another. So many people that have been investing are familiar with this whole process. So in the crypto space, this whole ACAT transfer, this does not exist. I cannot transfer a joint account into a joint account from, say, Fidelity to a joint account with Coinbase or a joint account with Celsius. That option does not exist. So how would you actually get money from a Fidelity or a Merrill account into an account like Celsius? So once again, I'm reading Brian's question here, and he says he has accounts with Fidelity and Merrill. He also has 50,000 in a traditional savings account. So I'm assuming, I hear traditional savings account, I'm thinking traditional savings account at a bank, and not technically sure about his accounts at Fidelity and Merrill. But let's just assume that they're both in taxable accounts. So these are not in any sort of 401k or IRA. This would either be in a joint account with him and his spouse, or just a individual account for him only. So first, let's address the traditional savings account, because that's the easiest way to get money. So basically what you would do with Celsius or any crypto exchange is at first that you would open an account with them. So go through that process of downloading the app, inputting your personal information, just like you would in any sort of investment account. Now, I will say most of these places don't do that deep dive like you would at a Fidelity or Merrill or any sort of investment house, where they want to know what is your net worth, what is your experience as an investor. I know when I used to open accounts for clients back when I was still a practicing financial planner, we would need to know what is their investment experience in different types of securities, whether it be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. What is their income? How long have they been working at their job? Is there any plan or goals for them? Not plan, but what age do they plan to retire? What are any other sort of assets that they may have in addition to the account that they're opening? And this is the know your customer rule, which is pretty common. Actually, it is common in the financial services industry, but in the crypto space, they just want to know your basic personal information like you would, like I'm assuming like if you're opening up a new account at a bank. It's been a minute since I've opened a new account at a bank, so I forgot exactly all the information that they want to know. But just the basic information as far as your address, email address, phone number. They are going to want to get your driver's license, also your social security number, your personal ID. That's all the things that are required. So if a crypto exchange is requesting your social security number, like that is okay. Like that's not them trying to steal your information or do anything egregious or anything shady. That is a part of the process that they need to know. So once you get the account open with Celsius or whatever crypto exchange that you choose to work with, then it's a process of transferring that money in. And once again, Brian here seems like he does not own any crypto since he is completely new to it, does not own anything yet. So then you would have to do what is called an ACH from your bank. So you have to set up a connection with your bank, whatever bank account that you want to transfer the funds in. So that could be a savings account, or if you want to connect a checking account, then you need to transfer that money, from your savings to your checking. I think that sounds all pretty custom, pretty understand how that works. Now all crypto exchanges are different, but with Celsius, they do charge an ACH fee for transferring the money in. Now, it's not a huge fee. It's only 0.1% of whatever the amount that you're going to transfer in. So if you're trying to transfer money into Celsius Network via the bank ACH transfer, it is a 0.1% fee. But here is the catch. And here is one of the areas that, I guess this is what I experienced initially with Coinbase. Was I could only transfer in, I think it was 25,000, actually maybe 5,000, I forget initially, especially if you're a new customer. And I get the whole point here. This is actually a good thing for the most part. They're trying to prevent any sort of money laundering, anybody trying to transfer money in, get it out of one account into them, and then maybe transfer it out to another account or another exchange. I'm sure you probably have seen plenty of news stories about money laundering with crypto, and definitely can be misused, especially, money laundering exists in normal banking operations. Crypto, since it is new and unregulated, definitely are a lot of crooks and thieves out there that have taken full advantage. But with Celsius, the max that you can do per week is 25,000, but also the max that you can transfer in via ACH is $50,000. And for many of you, that probably isn't an issue whatsoever. For me, initially, it wasn't an issue. But then when I was trying to transfer more money in, it became an issue. The bigger issue wasn't so much with Coinbase. It's whenever I was interested in testing out BlockFi when they were still offering their, what do they call it? The BIA, their interest account where they're paying 8.5%, 9% interest on their stable coins and also their other like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. Just recorded a video on a podcast. What happened with BlockFi, they had to pay a $100 million SEC settlement, and they're currently making some changes to their product offerings. But with BlockFi, initially via ACH, the most that I could get in to them was only $5,000. So I was trying to transfer in, I think it was like 25,000, but I couldn't do it. They didn't allow that to happen. So for me, I could transfer $5,000 in. And once again, I don't remember if that was for the month or a one time. I think I could maybe do $5,000 a day. So then every 24 hours, every business day whatsoever, I could transfer more in. I don't remember exactly. I just remember being a bit annoyed because for me, it's I want to do a one-time transaction. It's a distraction and a pain in the butt to have to go back every 24 hours and transfer another amount in, and then another amount, and then another amount. So how I ended up getting around this was transferring money into Coinbase, purchasing USDC via Coinbase, and then transferring from Coinbase over to BlockFi. That's what I ended up doing because eventually Coinbase allowed me to do a bigger ACH transfer, and I don't remember if it was 25,000 or 50,000. I do know right now I can do up to $100,000 at one time. Now, I don't know if I'm capped out each month. I've not done that large of a transfer into Coinbase, but I know the most recent time when I was recording a video just showing the different places, all different crypto exchanges, how much you could transfer in, I saw I had a $100,000 maximum limit for that one transaction. And I'm assuming I was probably capped for the month, but who knows, maybe not. The best option though, doing the bank ACH, because you're only paying that 0.1% fee. Now, another, we'll call it a downside. Once again, this is also for protection. It will take typically 5 business days from you initiating that ACH transfer for that money to show in your account before you can finally purchase whatever cryptocurrency that you're wanting to buy. So that's 5 business days. And it was a good reminder for me, is that if you are interested in buying Bitcoin, and let's say you're waiting for that dip, where you just feel more comfortable buying it when it's in the 30,000s as opposed to 50,000 or the 60,000. And you're like, okay, I'm going to wait. And all of a sudden it hits that 30,000 price point, that you are finally comfortable to put money in. So then you open your Celsius account, you set up your bank, and then you transfer money in, and you got to wait 5 business days before you can finally make that purchase. And by the time the money eventually settles, Bitcoin's back up to 45. You're like, crap, now I can't buy it because I missed out. So it's just a good reminder that when you're interested, and you can apply this to any other investment accounts, is having that account already open and having the funds in there ready to buy whenever you are ready to buy. Just a good reminder. And I know for me, like, that's a lesson that I learned, I don't say the hard way, but just one of those, oh crap, now I get it. Now there are a few other options to transfer money into Celsius that are a little bit faster, but they are more expensive. So the 2 other methods, a debit card or a credit card, you can get the money is there within 20 minutes for a debit card, 30 minutes with a credit or debit card. What is the attraction, or what is the issue? Or, I mean, obviously there's a catch, right? So with a debit card, yes, it's money, it's in there in 20 minutes, but there is a 2.9% fee plus 30 cents minimum. I don't know what the 30 cents is. Maybe per transaction cost. I mean, that kind of seems, what's the point charging 30 cents? Anyway, so there's that. And then but here's the other thing, right? The max that you can do is $500 weekly or $5,000 per year. So, okay. And maybe once again, you're wanting to test out, you're not ready to put 50 grand in. You want to start off with 1,000, 500 or 5,000. Like, the debit card is an option. Another option is with the credit card. You can do, it takes up to 30 minutes. The fee, 3.5%. 3.5%. So that is high. The max that you are allowed to do each day is $1,132 per day, transferring in and purchasing whatever cryptocurrency that you want. So once again, there are options to get the money in there quicker. You're going to pay a lot more, and you may be capped on how much you could transfer in either per day or per year. Now, the one thing I just realized I want to address here, because if let's say that you're in that camp where you want to buy Bitcoin, just stick with Bitcoin, good example to use here. And Bitcoin, let's say is trading around 45 to 50,000, and you just don't want to pay that much. So a question that I would have, and I'm assuming you may have, is like, well, Jeff, I hear what you're saying about having the account open and transferring money in, but if I'm not ready to buy Bitcoin, then why would I get opening the account, but why would I transfer money in? And it's really no different. And I tell people this, whether you're opening up a Roth IRA with I don't care who, M1 Finance, Robinhood, Edward Jones, maybe your local bank, and you want to open up open the Roth IRA, but you're not ready to invest yet. So then why would you transfer money in? Like, why would you just have money sitting there? Well, you have money sitting there. It's typically going to, in a traditional Roth IRA, I don't care where you open it at, it's going to be sitting in some sort of money market account. And at this time of this recording, we all know interest rates are horrible. So you're not making any money. I mean, you're making probably 1% if you are lucky, most likely 0.01% is all that you're making. But once again, the whole point there is that the money is there so that if you are ready to buy whatever ETF or stock or mutual fund that you want to buy, the money's already there. It's in the account. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 business days for that transaction to occur. In the crypto space, and this is actually, I think, a huge benefit. If you transfer money into, say, Celsius Network and you're not ready to buy Bitcoin, well, you don't have to. You can buy a stable coin like a USDC or a Tether or any other stable coin that they offer. And for those that don't know, if you are new to the crypto, maybe kind of like Brian here, by buying a stable coin in USDC. So if you're buying that, waiting for Bitcoin to hit that price, you're getting paid around 8.5% on your money as it's sitting there, as you're waiting to purchase Bitcoin at whatever price that you feel comfortable buying. So I don't see any downside here in opening a Celsius account, transferring money in, not buying Bitcoin yet, just purchasing a stable coin like a USDC, making 8.5% on your money until finally Bitcoin drops. And now you can buy it, and maybe you can buy more because you've been making 8.5% on your money until that finally happens. So that, to me, once again, that is, I feel like, the no-brainer here. And one of those light bulb moments for me, initially it was a BlockFi account, because initially I opened the BlockFi account to buy stablecoin to get paid 8.5%, whatever they were paying. And then as it's sitting there, it's like, oh wait, money's here. Now, if I want to just quickly exchange that or swap that to Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency I want, because it dipped, like, it's there, it's already there. I'm making interest, and it's literally like once you do a swap or an exchange from, say, a stable coin to Bitcoin, I mean, that happens immediately within 10 minutes. Maybe not like snap your fingers, but literally like 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 10 1,000, boop, you now own whatever crypto that you want. And that is 24/7. That is not like, oh, it's Friday, it's 8 o'clock, market's closed, I gotta wait till Monday. No, crypto land is not closed. It's open up 24/7. So if you want to do an exchange from USDC stablecoin into Bitcoin Friday at 9 o'clock, you can do so. I've bought crypto on Sunday, which is like, it's funny for me, it's like, just because I'm a stock market guy, I'm on Central Time, so the market closed at 3 o'clock on Friday, didn't open till 8:30 my time, 8:30 on Monday. So I mean, if I wanted to buy or sell anything, I had to wait until Monday to roll around, provided that Monday wasn't a holiday. So that is just one of those things about buying crypto, the whole crypto space, that are a little bit different for any traditional investor that's used to regular stock market hours and how this all works. So just the last thing I want to point out, in Brian's situation, and it may be also in your situation, that if you have money at a traditional brokerage firm and you own stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, whatever you own in those accounts, and you want to use those to purchase some sort of crypto, move that money into crypto. Once again, as a reminder, you cannot transfer that account in. Like Coinbase, Celsius, they are not going to accept ETFs, mutual funds, individual stocks. They're not going to accept those. So the only way that you can get that money in from a Fidelity, from a Merrill, into your crypto account, Celsius Network in this example, you have to sell off whatever you own in those accounts. That's the only way. It has to come over as cash. Is that a big deal? It may be a big deal. Depends on what do you own? How long have you owned it? Is there any sort of taxable gain, short-term or long-term, that you're going to have to pay, depending on, once again, how much you bought, how much you sold, how much it's worth a day versus how much you paid for it, yada, yada, yada. So there could be a taxable event that you do this. So just make sure that you are aware. If you are really excited to finally buy some Bitcoin and you want to sell off some of the current investments that you own, you got to sell first. Make sure you talk to a tax professional, CPA. Make sure they understand how this affects your tax situation. Then you can take that cash, open up your Celsius account, and then transfer it. Now, you may have to transfer the cash from your Fidelity or Merrill account into your personal checking account to then get that to Celsius Network. That is very much reality. Most likely what most people would have to do. I know for me, if I were to sell off some of my accounts from my traditional brokerage firm, that's exactly how I would have to do it. I'd have to sell it off there and then have the firm transfer that money to our personal checking and then transfer that to whatever crypto exchange that I would want to put my money into. Well, if you are like Brian, I hope that I have helped you understand the process and the logistics of moving money from a traditional brokerage account into a crypto exchange like Celsius Network. If you're interested in investing into Bitcoin for the first time and you're interested in trying out Celsius Network, please check out the link in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a link below. In that link, you can get up to $50 of free Bitcoin just by depositing $400 with Celsius Network and using the code WEALTH. And once again, I'll have the link in the description or in the show notes, depending on where you are listening or watching this podcast. And once again, to get that $50, you got to transfer $400 in. It doesn't matter if you're buying stablecoin or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Doge. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're buying. As long as you transfer $400 in, use the referral code WEALTH, enter that in, you'll get your $50 of free Bitcoin. Also, if you have a question that you want to ask like Brian and have that featured on a future Good Financial Sense podcast, all you got to do is go to wealthhackerlabs.com/ask. And there you will see a contact form that you can fill out. You can also record an audio message if you want to record yourself talking, and we'll feature that question on a future podcast. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Until then, peace.